I was tackled and kicked in the head as a contestant on Beast Games. I entered the game as a super fan mom. I exited with a year-long recovery from a traumatic brain injury, if I should ever recover completely. My injury was completely preventable. I share the details online this week with the intention that this does not happen again. My hope is that lots of good decisions will flow from very bad circumstances.
So at this point, you guys probably know that Beast Games has officially launched on Amazon. They launched with about 2 episodes as of now. We all know this is the show where MrBeast gathered 1,000 people to basically play games and face one another for a $5 million cash prize, being the largest cash prize in TV history. And to celebrate, Rosanna Pansino, aka the Queen of Petty, ended up dropping a video called Traumatic Brain Injury on MrBeast's new show. And on this video, she ended up bringing on one of the contestants of Beast Games, whose NDA has ended, and she's able to go in depth on one of her injuries that she apparently suffered on this game show. Now, this injury kind of collaborates some of the things that we've been hearing about the Beast Games, such as this article, Willing to Die for MrBeast and $5 million by the New York Times, where it essentially went into a lot of the injuries and challenges that people faced inside of these games. And a lot of these people felt like, you know, they had to do these and they wanted to participate in these games because they were in like a point where they wanted the money. You know, they were willing to do just about anything and everything they could for that $5 million cash prize, which is by no means to normal people like me and you know, a small sum change of money, but for someone like MrBeast, $5 million is like, what, like 10, 20 bucks? It's not really much. Now, at about 22 minutes and 59 seconds of this video by Rosanna, this woman elaborates on one of the stories that was being told about, you know, contestants being tackled and trampled and whatnot in these games. And she actually elaborates on how, you know, she was kicked in the head. It was a little bit more than just a tackle. As you can see, this is not like the most, you know, strong, athletic woman. It just looks like someone who could be like me or your mom, you know, your grandma. Someone who you could probably see as like a motherly figure, which kind of represents her. Her name inside of these Beast Game was Mama Bear, and here's her testimony.
Apparently, if I am the person behind the story of someone getting full-on tackled, how many people actually knew that I got kicked in the head? Now, I didn't even know I was kicked in the head because, as an important point, I apparently did black out. So I remember the collision, like just the initial, and I remember being on the floor, and I know I scrambled up, and I know I remembered that there were feet at my head, and that is where that's when I'm like, better get the heck up. And so I did not know I was kicked. I didn't. They did an exit interview with me. Would you be back? Would you come back to a MrBeast production? I'm like, yeah, of course. Cause again, I am
dazed and confused and have a concussion.
Well, yes, all of that, but also, I wasn't there thinking I was winning $5 million. I was there for the story. And so I'm, not a sore loser or whatever else. I just thought, okay, let me give my speech. So, and yeah.
This kind of reminds me a lot of like what happened with Jake Weddle, where after the fact, he comes out and says like how badly he feels and how badly, he handled that situation and how bad MrBeast handled the situation and how in the end it's actually going to cause PTSD and whatnot. And again, like I feel bad for Mama Bear here, I'm sure she's an amazing woman and whatnot. But again, I think throughout this whole process, we have learned that MrBeast has made a lot of screw ups. But from what we've seen from like a lot of the more MrBeast games updates, is they're trying to fix things behind the scenes at least. And when it comes to a game like this, like there's bound to be injuries. Now, what I'm quite curious is, was there a team to address this? Was there a team to fix this? If she ended up going to the hospital, was MrBeast and his team, willing to pay for it, pay for her bills, pay for her medical, whatever was needed, on top of like, maybe some extra money for, the pain, the harm it caused her and whatnot. And I guess, I'm hoping that Rosanna's video is able to answer those questions for me. So at about 34 minutes and 32 seconds is where she kind of dives into the concussion element and actually ending up going to urgent care. So we're just going to watch here.
At that time, as I was driving back, that I had a concussion. And that was a Sunday. The injury was early Saturday morning. The drive back was Sunday. It was Monday that I realized I had a goose egg on my head, right on the back of my head. I had an abrasion. And the symptoms, besides the sleepiness that had come on that drive,
Yeah.
by Monday, the headaches and the nausea began. And that is when I realized I must have a concussion. And so I went to urgent care and I was diagnosed with that and with a left bruised rib. They did an x-ray to see if there was any sign of evidence that it was
Oh
broken.
my gosh, you had a bruised rib?
Well, and I was kicked in the calves. So I had bruising on my calves as well. And so that was urgent care. That was Monday. And then Thursday, I went into my primary care doctor and then began meeting with her once a week, I believe, for the first month. And she would do this concussion battery score on me every week. And it's what she does for her high school football players or, the high schoolers who are injured. And so we're doing this little concussion battery every week. And she was just giving me some of the general medical advice. In that first week, I was sure that this is like a 1 week recovery. Maybe
Yeah.
it's 2. So, and by the end of the second week, I'm thinking this is really surely almost over. And I didn't even imagine or even want to process that it could be much bigger and longer term. So it was at the 6th.
Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of professional wrestling. I don't know if maybe you guys do too. When wrestlers, and these are, peak performing men and women in this industry, and when they get a concussion, they can end their careers. They're out. There's a announcer named like Corey Graves or something. He got like 3 concussions in a few years. He's done wrestling. Like he just is an announcer now because, it's very serious. What people like me and you might see as just like, oh, you just temporarily, lost your memory or your brain got rattled around. Your brain's a very sensitive thing in a very sensitive, little stem part of your head and whatnot connected to your spine. I'm not a doctor. I'm just CamNuggets. But it's not something to take lightly. Again, though, I don't think, MrBeast is to blame here. I don't think the Beast Games is entirely to blame here. This just seems like one of those situations where it's like a competitive sport. Again, $5 million was on the line, and a lot of people want $5 million. People would be willing to do some really bad things, some bad damage to other people for $5 million. And again, I feel really bad for this woman, but I'm not, entirely going to be on the boat of like, oh yeah, like it's MrBeast's fault this happened. Because again, I don't think MrBeast is a horrible person. I think he's done some silly things and whatnot, right? And I think this is unfortunately going to be one of those things where like the contracts that these people signed, the waivers and whatnot they signed, probably says somewhere deep down that like, you won't be able to sue us. Like we don't have to pay for this, this, and this if this, and this happens, right? And the fact that she left the Beast Games to go, get the concussion thing checked out is probably going to come into effect as well. Again, I don't think she's lying. I don't think anyone would lie about this. I just think that the MrBeast like crowd is, everybody's riled up over the MrBeast stuff. I get it. But this is something that happens probably in all types of game shows, all types of, physical sports things. And the contracts are all, all you really need to know, whether or not something is going to be paid for, whether something's going to be handled more professionally, or you just get your little severance and they're like, have a good day, good luck with your concussion type thing. Again, personally, I think that MrBeast, in good faith should come out for this woman and say like, hey, we'll pay for whatever you had to go through. We're sorry that happened. But I feel like if he made them sign a contract or something and it's some type of like event where they know that there's going to be physical activity and possible harm, MrBeast probably had himself covered. Now, at about 37 minutes and 39 seconds, she actually does say that she like told the team at MrBeast, the MrBeast team, the producers actually reached out to her to make sure that she was doing fine. And at her own fault, she said she was doing fine when she wasn't doing fine. This happens. Sometimes our egos, sometimes we just feel like, we can toughen something out and we don't exactly tell someone the honesty because, we're like, we'll be fine. We're fine. We're tough people. And then later when it comes back to bite us in the butt, you end up with a situation like this. Again, I don't think she's a bad person by any means. Like she's more than entitled. And I'd say she has more than any right to come out and say a valid concern about something happening in Beast Games. But a lot of this just comes down to like, I got hurt. I didn't really tell anyone at the time. After the fact, I reached out and again, I'm still hoping there's a good ending in here somewhere.
stage. And so I was in contact with them in that first week. And so the urgent care visit was on a Monday, and I sent a photo of like the diagnosis to a MrBeast producer.
Right.
And so I'm sure it went into my profile that I have a concussion. And I spoke to 2 producers that week when they called all the contestants and checked in with them. I spoke to 2 of them and told them about the concussion. And then a couple of days later, I'm going to say it might have been Friday of that week, that one of the producers did ask in about me. She sent me a text, and I said, I'm fine, because at that point, again, I'm thinking, I got another week. You know what I mean? I'm not imagining what is in front of me. And again, I'm trying to be positive. And I still was so much a super fan of the organization, and just leaning into like, okay, I'm going to recover. It's all going to be okay. And again, never imagining I would be sitting here discussing this with you and looking at a year-long recovery from a brain injury. And so from there, I got some general emails from the MrBeast organization, like, hey, submit your tax form, stuff like that. And they said they were going to be switching their communication system over and using a text-based system, but I never heard about that. And so I believe it was around September 1st that I emailed them and said, hey, did you guys ever set that thing up? Maybe I missed it because, I do have a concussion and might not be catching all your communications.
Yeah.
And I never heard back from them on that email. And then I sent them another email in mid-September, kind of with the same flavor, and didn't hear back on that either.
Ghost.
Yeah, so that is where I think it's effed up, right? Again, I think she screwed up by saying like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm doing okay. But she did try to reach out to them. She did try to say, hey, like I emailed, what's up? Like, I got a concussion. The only time I got kicked in the head that could have gave me a concussion was your Beast Games. So what do we do about this? And she got ghosted, which I think is incredibly screwed up, right? So MrBeast, I know you probably have seen Rosanna's video. Again, I think for the most part, you've kind of cleared up some of the allegations. There are a lot of things you still need to clear up and should elaborate on, and like people like your friend Chris Tyson and whatnot. But I think that you should definitely reach out to this woman and try to get this resolved in some way, shape, or form. Because again, this is something that's not a good look, considering your Beast Game show just launched. I haven't seen it yet. I'm probably not going to. Not my cup of tea, right? I'm waiting for Squid Games too if I want to watch something like that. Now, in another celebration of Beast Games, this channel by the name of Colin and Samir ended up dropping a video called The Making of Beast Games, and just to play the devil's advocate, we got the other side of the spectrum when it comes to Beast Games contestants. We have a group of women who were in the Beast Games asking, Beast, like, how is he feeling about everything going on, and they actually kind of go against some of the popular narrative that's going out there that the Beast Games was like this horrific thing where, people were dropping like flies. It was like a war zone, World War III, and we'll just give them a chance to speak, because why not?
A question. It might be controversial, but are you okay with all the articles and stuff that was coming out? She was lying. But I was just asking, like, are you okay?
Ooh, she was lying. Who do they mean, though? Who do they mean? Are they referring to Rosanna? Are they referring to the people in, like, these New York Times articles? Who's lying? Wonder if we'll find out.
Well, obviously, there's a lot of things not true. Like, they're saying there's broken bones. They're saying we're paying people hush money.
We agree. We did about it.
I mean, what did you think about the articles?
I mean, I thought it was, first off, we're not going to say nothing.
I said group of women. There was a guy. My bad. I didn't mean to misgender you, my friend.
No way. And two, I just thought it was really ridiculous.
It was disappointing for sure, because we knew that wasn't the case.
Right.
Also,
Yeah.
it seems like, look, people want to make a stink, but of course, if they don't want to interview the people that had a good experience.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if more people that left that still had a good experience would speak out, it would be a little more balanced.
But it was also one of those things where, like, we're not allowed to say.
Yeah, because I saw it literally.
And it's like you can't have nothing nice because people will mess it up for us.
I live in Vegas, so I literally was seeing there were so many people talking about it and everything, and it was like I wanted to say so much, but I'm like, I know
I just want to comment on everything.
Yeah, they were all under NDAs, so it's probably why, they couldn't come out and say much. It's also why Beast can't really say much. But now that Beast Games is kind of out, I guess they're allowing this to come out.
We were ready to defend you, bro. Like, come on.
You had a good experience?
Yes.
I did. I honestly had fun.
I had a great experience.
I lost 10 pounds.
I was 7 pounds lighter, and I
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
No problem. Congrats on your
Look, just know we got your back, man.
Thank you.
We got you.
Take care. I'll see you guys around. They hit it on the head. Everyone signed NDAs. The people who had a good experience don't want to break their NDA. Yeah, that's good. Let's do another round. So I'd have to do that 100 times.
100 times, Jesus.
Hi to everyone before we film. We'll blow you.
So yeah, he just ended up talking to these people a bunch more times throughout the video. This is going to be linked down below. The Making of Beast Games by Colin and Samir. And I think that's fair. I think it's completely, logical to say that, yeah, people who like something aren't going to go out and talk about how much they liked it. You'll more than often hear the negatives. Think of a Yelp review when you go to a restaurant. If you read reviews, it's probably going to be because, people are like, this is the greatest thing I've ever eaten, or it's going to be, the worst thing they've ever eaten. There's very few people who are going to kind of just leave reviews and be like, hey, it's good, it's good, it's good. You'll oftentimes see negativity and see the negativity be platformed. And again, in a situation like this where it's like a very competitive game, $5 million is on the line, accidents are bound to happen, people are bound to get injured, and it's just unfortunate. Again, I don't think those women were trying to discredit Rosanna or what's her name? Eat Like a Bear, Mama Bear, the woman who was in the other video. I just feel like those women had a good time. Not everyone has to have a good time, right? If you didn't have a good time, you're not a bad person. And then if you did have a good time, you're not a bad person. I think this is one of those situations where, again, I'm hoping that MrBeast and his team reaches out to her, tries to get things resolved, helps her out. And if she's even willing, let her be on some future MrBeast products, because it doesn't seem like she necessarily hates MrBeast, and she even applauded the efforts of what his organization is doing and how they're doing things related to the world and whatnot, and she had a good time for the most part until she got kicked in the head and had a concussion, and that would also change my perspective on the Beast Games. But ladies and gentlemen, that's kind of the situation. This woman went onto a Beast Games. She had a challenge where she had to go get these briefcases. She got kicked in the head. It hurt, of course. She passed out. And she woke up, left the game because she lost, and later on she found out she had a concussion, and she might end up having, a brain injury for the next year or so, but she's getting better day by day, and that's always good. And hopefully MrBeast ends up giving her money or something, figuring out a way to make this better in some way, shape, or form. Let me know what you think down below. I appreciate you watching and keeping up to date with the Beast drama. See you around.